Hey, welcome back. My name is Kevin Rhodes. If we haven't met already, this channel I'm focused on helping leaders innovate by design. One of the greatest aspects of the design discipline is the notion of critique. And you may have heard me talk about critique in the past, and it's the idea that you're going to share your work with a group of individuals that can speak into it and level it up. The idea of a critique is really rooted in the design discipline in many ways, or art, or maybe in design school, but it is a rich part of being a designer. So here, I'm going to give you my approach to critique. I'm going to share with you what I think is a key ingredient to an effective critique in a process or methodology to use in order to really cement good insights into leveling up and maturing a body of work. So let me just jump into this idea that lingering in my mind for a while now, and that is, how do I get the most value out of a critique? It takes two perspectives. You have the person receiving the critique, and then you have the person giving the critique. So we'll look at the perspective that I feel is most important in receiving a critique, and then a methodology that I think will help you in the same way that it has helped me in giving a critique. So first and foremost, in receiving a critique requires a fair amount of humility. So this is awkward combination of humility and vulnerability. You have to be vulnerable. And I love how Brene Brown talks about vulnerability is this, bringing yourself forward and not being able to control the outcome. So that's, of course, a key ingredient of a critique is you have to be vulnerable. You've got to be able to show your work, knowing that, this work might be rejected. It might be interrogated and in some really intense ways. And sometimes requires a fair amount of vulnerability. But the aspect of critique that I think is unique to design, and that is the notion of humility. So as a designer, our work is always in service of someone else. It's in service of the user. It's in service of the problem we're trying to solve. And that posture, the way that I've internalized that is humility. And the critique is the same way. You're presenting your work and you have to have a humble posture in order to really hear the value that someone else is bringing to the conversation. Humility can be hard. It can be especially hard if you've invested an extraordinary amount of effort and pride into the work that you're creating, the work that's being critiqued. So it is hard. It takes effort. It takes an intentional mindset when you step into that moment of critique to be humble, as tough as that may be. You've got to recognize where your pride is going to get in the way. So as someone receiving a critique, that's the mindset that I will bring myself to and embrace. And now, giving a critique, here's a methodology that I use that aims to level up the work, the whole idea behind a critique, but also do it in a way that doesn't destroy the person who's being vulnerable and exposing their work to you to begin with. So that's it. And there's 3 steps into a critique that I think are extremely helpful. And that is simply, after observing the work, taking it in, hearing the kind of constraints and thinking that went into it, I'll respond with expressing what I like about the work. So step 1, express what I like. Be specific about a particular aspect of the work that I appreciate or that I found exceptionally effective or timely or that aligns well with the goal. So step 1, I like. Step 2 is expressing the idea of I wish. And here we're trying to unpack the gap between what we see and what could be. Using the language of I wish allows the person hearing this critique to see you imagining something. So I like, I wish, and then what if. The what if is the opportunity to really be specific about how you see the work becoming better. And building on that arc of, hey, I like that particular angle you took. And I wish maybe there was a better way to incorporate this other set of concerns. And what if we did this, this, and this? That arc makes a great way to hear a critique. It's not offensive, it's not abrasive, it's affirming the qualities of the work, but also pushing the work, forcing that designer to reach a little further. So if you're getting a critique, step into humility, set the ego, the pride aside, and embrace the true nature of being a designer, and that is in the service of someone else. Step in humility. And then if you're giving a critique, affirm what you see, that the good qualities. I wish. Start thinking through the gaps that you see that are apparent to you. And then what if? Propose some new ideas that could help bridge that gap. I think you'll find those approaches helpful. Hey, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. And if you have a critique method that you've been using and found valuable, I would love to hear about it. Leave those in the comments below. Hey, thanks again.